welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Thank you for your love, for your support. If you are new to the channel, you are highly and very welcome. If you have not subscribed already, please, I would appreciate if you will hit on the subscribe button and then hit on the bell to get an update whenever I upload a new video. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. I would appreciate if you will do that. Just support my channel by hitting on the like button. And then if you want to register for my online classes, you can just see my number scrolling through the screen. Send me a message on WhatsApp and then I'll give you the details of the classes we have available. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut a shoulder dart bustier with a free hand. So it is a very simple tutorial. I've done this before using a pattern. So today I just want to make it very quick and fast, a very simple and easy way. So since we are making use of a free hand, that means we are drafting directly on our fabric. So these are the measurements that we're going to be making use of. The bust is 34. You divide 34 into 4, you have 8.5. The under bust is 28. And you divide it into 4, you have 7. The half cut, which is the waist, is 30. You divide into 4, you have 7. The full length is 18, and then the shoulder is 14. So these are the measurements. It is a very simple process. So now let's get started. So I have my pattern, my fabric here. So I'll show you how to measure out your fabric. So you know what, our bust is 34 and we're using 8.5. So the fabric is folded into 2 like this. So as it is folded into 2, so I'm just looking for a weight. Okay, as it is folded into 2, you 8.5. So this is 8.5 here. So you add like 5 inches to your fabric. Let's just say 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you measure your fabric. You just add 5 inches to that measurement. So I have about 14 inches here, which is okay for this. So that's simple way of measuring this. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how to measure this. The first thing we're going to do in doing this, we're going to use our bust span measurement. Okay, so now we're going to start measuring now. So I'm going to add all of my lines on my pattern. So the first line we're going to do, so this line is going to be our start line, so which is our shoulder line. So from this shoulder line, our bust point is 10 inches. So this is 10 inches. You measure 10 inches, you mark it straight like that. And then the under bust is 13 inches. You measure 13 inches, you mark it straight like this. And then our half cut is 18 inches. So that is the 18 inches. And then I have some left over for my allowance. The next thing measurement we're going to add now to this pattern is our bust span measurement. Is our bust span. So I want you to note. So for the bust span, we're going to add the bust span from this point to this point. We're not going to add it on the shoulder line. So the bust span I'm using is 4.5, which is 9 inches. I'll mark it here like this, and then I'll bring it to this point also. I'll mark it, and then I'll bring it on this point also. I will mark it here. So I'll connect them with my straight ruler like this. So I'll mark it with my straight ruler, and then I'll come to my shoulder line here on top. So for the shoulder part, my shoulder measurement is 7 inches, which is, sorry, is 14. So when you divide 14 into 2, you have 7. So I'll mark my 7 inches like this here on this part, which is for the dart. That's for the shoulder. That's the end part of the shoulder. But since it is a shoulder that is not going to run on directly on that shoulder part, so on this point, I notice that I marked 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. So I'm going to add another line to this line, which is my chest line, which is 8 inches. So that 8 inches line, I'll mark it here. I want you to note what I'm going to do. On my chest line, I'm going to mark 5 inches. So I did not use 5 inches, so I'll connect that line to it. So this is applicable for all measurements. What you have here, just add half of an inch to it for the chest line. So I'm going to come to the shoulder line. So for my shoulder line, I'm not going to use 7, because if I use 7, that means that will cut through the shoulder. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reduce it by 1 inch. You understand? So I'll reduce my dart. So that means my dart is going to be in between the neckline and then the shoulder. So I'm using 6 inches. So from that 6 inches part, I'm just going to mark it like this. I'll curve it like this, so you can see the shape. So now this is my full shoulder measurement. So the dart is going to run, it's just going to run slightly before the shoulder. So I hope you understand. So that's just a simple way of doing this, the shoulder dart. So we're going to add all of our measurement. So the next thing now, we'll come to this part and we're going to measure our shoulder. So this is the shoulder line, which is 7. So I'll add 1.5 inches to this. I'll add 1.5 inches. So that 1.5 inches is going to come like this. So from that 1.5 inches, I'm going to use this line as my armhole line, which is my chest line. So I'll just mark it like this. And then I'll curve this out. So the next thing now, we're going to create our cups for this. So for that cup, we'll come to this down part like this. This down part, I'll mark 2.5 inches here like this. So that 2.5 inches here on that bust line, I'm taking it to this point like this. Just curve it like this. Okay, no, curve it to your bust point. So you see, I almost made a mistake there. Let it hit your bust point line like this and then come to your chest line. You see the curve like this. And then from this point like this, I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to reduce it. You know, I used 2.5, I'll reduce it by half of an inch, and then I'll bring this like this to this point. So this is how simple it is to do a shoulder. So you have to make sure that your curve is nicely curved. So I'm using a free hand. So that's the thing with free hand. I'm trying to make sure it is nicely curved, and then it goes into that shoulder part like that and then comes this way. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to mark out our full measurement. So for the full measurement, we already have our shoulder measurement here. We'll mark our bust measurement, which is 8.5. So I'll add my 8.5. I'll take out half of an inch because of this cut and join. So it's going to truncate. So that half of an inch, I'll add it back, and then I'll add my allowance. So for my allowance, since I'm using freehand, I'm going to add about 4 inches allowance to my pattern. And then I'll come to my under bust. So the under bust part, I'm using 7 inches. So this, if you notice now, you see my 7 inches entered into this point. So I'll leave it there. Remember this 2.5 inches allowance, you add it back into your pattern, don't forget. And then I'll add the same 4 inches allowance that I used, like this top part, and then I'll connect them like this together. And then I'll come to the down part, which is 7.5 from our measurement. So this is 7.5 here. And then remember, we took that out 2 inches from here. So that 2 inches, you put it back into your pattern like this, and then you add your allowance. So for this down part, I'm going to add even as much as 4.5 because I don't want to get my fabric truncated. So I'll just mark it like this. So this is how simple it is. The next thing we're going to do now, we're going to cut out this pattern. So before we cut out this pattern, I'm going to place this pattern on my back pattern to cut out my back pattern. That's how I just want to use it to have the full body frame of my back pattern. So make sure you add your zip allowance to it, and then I will cut it out. Okay, so I finished cutting now. So the next thing, we're going to cut this out before we cut the back. So at the end of this, so you can see what we have. You see how beautiful this looks like. So the next thing now, we're going to cut our back pattern. So for my back pattern, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this right now, and then I'm going to place this here. So it is a simple process. I want to use this to get out my dart. So I'll leave my zip allowance, and then I'll just do this like this, just to get your shoulder dart line. It is a simple process if you don't want to go through it again. And then mark this. So after marking this, I'm going to take out my full body measurement, making sure that my allowance is here already, and then I'll begin to take out all of my measurements. So I'll take my shoulder measurement just the same way I did. I'll add my allowance, and then I will mark, and then I'll take my bust measurement. So for all of this, but for the back one, it's just 1 inch allowance I'm going to add to it, because I'm just going to slit it open and then join it back. Okay, so not just 1 inch allowance. And then on my waistline, so most times once I'm using free hand, I'll just be going. So this is the under bust. This is for the under bust. So for the under bust, I'm using 7. So this is my 7 plus 1 inch, and then the regular allowance. And then for the waist, which is 7.5, this is 7.5, and then my 1 inch, and then this. So this is for the back pattern. So you see how simple it is. So I'll cut it open for you to see. So this one, what I normally do, I'm just going to slit it open like this, and then it stays like this. So that is how simple it is to cut the shoulder that princess cut with a free hand. Okay guys, so at the end of the day, you can see how our pattern looks like. It came out really fine. So you can see the front and then the back. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. If you have not subscribed already, please subscribe to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.